So, good evening, everybody. Once again, it is, 3 minutes past 9 on Monday night. That means it's time for another Acts on This TV live broadcast. I've got a Costa tonight. That's not really the right thing to be drinking at 9 o'clock at night, but it means I'm going to be at least energetic for the next hour. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are watching on the replay on YouTube or you're watching the replay on Facebook, thanks so much for joining the replay. If you're listening to the replay on Spotify or iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud or wherever else I post this, huge shout out to you. Please do come along and join in one of these live broadcasts. Every Monday evening we do this, 9 p.m. UK time for about an hour. There's a huge group of people who join on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Come and get involved with the conversation. Good evening, Josh, Michael, Karen, Sophie. I'll give you all another shout out again. Shannon, Claire, Angie, Alex, Nina, Dougal, Valerie, Karen and Jill, Dale, Andrea, Samantha, Shannon, Rihanna, Catherine, Dawn, John, Paul, quite a few people, Caroline, Corinne, as you can hear. So yeah, if you're not joining us live, you're missing out. Esther's just joined us as well. Monday night, start of a brand new week. Anything can happen to you in your career this week. Hopefully, it'll all be good. I want to just sort of like share just a few things tonight, a few topics of conversation. I'm going to need your input into them as well. But has anybody seen already, or have you listened to the full podcast that I put out this morning with casting director Andy Pryor and his casting associate Ree McDade-Wren? If you've not, and for those who are new to Acts on This, you might not even know that this is even a thing or this is out there. But actsonthis.tv is a website that I run for actors, where every week I sit down with an incredibly influential casting director, agent, actor, writer, producer, ultimately somebody you would really want to work with or get in front of in order to get work if you want to work in TV. And we're talking like the highest level of TV as well. Like, we're not mucking about here. This is actsonthis.tv. If you go to the Watch News section at the top here, you'll see a feature I published this morning, Quickfire Casting Roundtable with Andy Pryor and Ree McDade-Wren. There's a picture of Andy and Ree there. Andy casts some of the biggest TV in the land. He cast Doctor Who. He cast Russell T Davies's Years and Years that was just out on the TV on BBC One a few weeks ago. He cast The A Word. He cast Gentleman Jack starring Saran Jones. He's just cast an absolutely phenomenal drama by Russell T Davies again called Boys for Channel 4. I was at the read-through with Andy and Ree last week just before we recorded this podcast. Honest to God, seriously, I must have been to about 60 drama read-throughs for top TV drama over the last decade, normally like half a dozen or so a year. This blew me away. It's got to be in the top, absolutely, it must be honestly the top 3 dramas I've ever seen, I've ever attended. The read-through is absolutely phenomenal. The cast were just absolutely brilliant. It's got an incredible cast. Everybody from Stephen Fry to Sean Dooley. It's got some a really young cast as well in it as well. There's some a lot of young guys. It's based, the story is around the AIDS crisis in the 80s when nobody really knew what this mystery kind of killing disease was. Absolutely fascinating, hilarious, but so tragically sad as well. Literally one line you'll be laughing, it's so funny. The next line, honest to God, it's the only read-through I've been to, and I mean this full stop, where I've genuinely could have got emotional at the read-through. I held it together, but I just had to stop talking for a few minutes, and it's not like me to stop talking. So after we did the read-through, we came back to my apartment, me, Andy and Ree, and we recorded an hour-long podcast ultimately on how they cast, what they expect from actors in auditions, what they need from you in order to audition for them, what you can send them, how you can send it. It was a really, really super encouraging podcast that if you're not a member of Acts on This, is worth signing up for just to listen to that one. If you do sign up to the website, if you're not a member yet, it's only $10 a month, it's dirt cheap. You'll get access to this, plus literally hundreds of hours of other podcasts on here with the biggest actors, casting directors, agents, writers, producers in the industry. There's Rob Collier there. He just phoned me tonight. He's on a new Netflix drama, which is going to be massive. He's with Jordan Hogg there. He's a great director. They came on to talk about Ackley Bridge when they were doing Ackley Bridge together. Jordan was directing it, Rob was starring in it. But there's some incredible podcasts on there, basically. What I want to do tonight is share a bit of that podcast with Andy for those people who haven't heard it yet. Anyone here actually listened to it fully yet? Let me know your thoughts if you have. Vive, good evening. Fantastic. Sent my info to them today, says Valerie. Nice one, Valerie. So you've already listened. Okay, well, we're going to be backing up, really, what hopefully you took from that podcast, because one thing that I really think we emphasize within this podcast is the one thing I want to theme tonight's chat about, And it's ultimately asking and reaching out and asking for what you want from this industry. Like, I cannot tell you how many actors email me each week. Well, I can. It's literally like a dozen or more. Just caught half of it before, says Alex, before tuning in here. Nice one, Alex. So I'm going to play a little bit more for you now. Claire's in the house as well. Fiona says, yeah, it was really good, and I have a takeaway. Let's share your biggest takeaway, Fiona. Corinne says, fantastic podcast. Alma's not heard it yet. Deborah says, hi. All right, Deborah, hope you're well. But yeah, what I want to talk about tonight is ultimately, like, you know, not realizing that so many actors like feel they have to have permission from someone, and like they don't realize that they only need permission from themselves to actually reach out to someone and ask for what they want. And so many people will email me and get me to proofread emails for them. Like, I don't want to sound harsh, but it's really a waste of time. 9 times out of 10, I email back going, it's fine, absolutely perfectly fine, just send it. You know, because there's not really anything you're going to be writing in an email that's going to actually, you know, really scupper your chances of ever being brought in by that casting director, unless you're being an absolute dick, which is like impossible. I mean, how can you be such a knobhead in your email that a casting director is going to look at it and go, oh, Dave, well, that's it now. I'm not going to be bringing you in for anything. It's almost impossible, yet so many people are frightened of doing it. Now, one thing that Andy and Ree could not hammer home hard enough in this podcast is that, you know, they can't vouch for every casting director out there, but I've interviewed nearly all of them, and that's on this.tv. Every single one of them is more than happy, not just happy, but more than happy to be receiving unsolicited emails from actors as long as you have something relevant to say, i.e. you've got a new show reel, you've got new headshots, you've changed agent, you've just been in something, you're inviting them to a show, you're on TV, whatever it is. If you're writing to them, you know, maybe like once every, not too often, like once a quarter, when you've got something new to say, it's not just okay, it's actually your job. It's absolutely your duty. And also Fiona says, yeah, this is interesting as well, Fiona. She says, my greatest takeaway from this podcast was the concept of trying to see the audition as being being on a continuum that is part of the paid job, rather than focusing on it as being a means to get the job. That's something that Andy talks about a lot. He's like, listen, you got to start looking at the audition as the thing that you're actually getting paid for. You're not just getting paid for the job. Like, you know, the audition doesn't have to be this thing that gets you the job. It's actually really like one and the same. It's part of it. Go in as if you already have it, like as in like this is how you would be playing this character if you already had the job, because ultimately the audition is part of that job. Don't look at it as two separate things. You know, it can really help people. Caitlin, good evening. Gary Thomas, Kev from Dublin's here as well. All right, Kev, so is Michelle. Martin says, are we able to download the members podcast? So Martin, at the moment, right, if you are a member of Acts on this.tv, a few people have asked this. When you log into the members area, I'll show you, you get access to all of the podcasts that are on this site. There's literally hundreds of hours. So if I click on the top of the page when you're logged in, click on members area there next to my picture, it takes me to the members area, and in here, I click on premium membership. And here are all my podcasts. I mean, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them. If I click on the Andy and Ree one here, there's the player for the podcast here. Now, you need to be online in order to play this podcast, okay? It gets streamed from a company called SoundCloud, where I host these podcasts. Now, at the moment, because this is premium content, thus people are paying $10 a month to access it, there's no download option here. If I enable the download option so you could actually have that file, there is nothing stopping one actor downloading it and then giving it to every single person he knows who's an actor, or uploading it to a website for everyone else to download. So in order to protect the people who are committed to their careers and are paying, I mean, it's dirt cheap, man. It's £2.50 a week. The price will be going up in November. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. It does not affect anybody who is already a member. Anyone who's already a member will only ever pay what they are paying right now, as long as they continue their membership. Prices will be going up for new members in November, on November the 1st, but I'll talk about that at the end of this broadcast. It will not affect anybody who is currently a member. And if you want to get a membership now and you get it before the 1st of November, you won't be affected by the price increase. You have to get it before the 1st of November for that, though. So, yeah, in order for me to protect everyone who is paying so that people don't take the mick and then, you know, effectively just, you know, pirate or whatever you want to call it, you know, illegally distribute the content, Martin, I can't have people download it, unfortunately. However, and it might be very close to the end of this year, if not just early next year, I am going to launch an app. It's a dedicated app for Acts on This members that you'll have on your phone. You'll be able to download it for your Apple device or Android. You won't access this stuff through the website. You still can, but there will be a proper app that you'll be able to have on your phone. There may then be a way around that for me to be able to give you offline listening. I'm just going to have to wait and see technology-wise what I can do. You say you tend to listen to the car, but want to make it as easy as possible. And I remember as I jump in the car on my way to a survival job. So Martin, you can still, I mean, in terms of listening in the car, mate, as long as you've got the file sizes on these are so small. I've made the file sizes of the actual podcasts so tiny, so that they take up hardly any data at all to stream. If you're in the car, just hit play on the SoundCloud player, mate. Close your phone; it will continue to play, and you can just listen to it whilst you're in the car. You know, generally speaking, you're going to have internet more or less on the road unless you're driving in the country somewhere. I understand for people who use the tube a lot. You can still connect to the internet via the tube. You know, in London on the Underground, they have Wi-Fi hotspots on the tubes, so there is still, you know, the possibility to stream it from there. But I get it for people, you know, maybe you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere where you don't have an internet connection. But it's just at the moment, as I for sort of, you know, to protect people who are paying for it, I just can't have people kind of download it. Could you just literally be able to download it and just give it to whoever you want? You know, if I was at drama school, that's definitely what my year would be doing. One person would be paying and they'd give it out to the 25 actors for nothing. So it's just to protect people. But yeah, you can stream these, generally speaking, from like 90, I think something like 96% of the country has at least a 3G connection now. So you shouldn't really find yourself somewhere where you can't stream it because it's such a small file size. Each one's under 100 megabytes. It's tiny. Andrew says, I'm afraid of sending emails. I hate hassling people, which is a huge block. Right, well, I'm going to play you guys a part of this podcast with Andy now, just to prove to you, Andy's literally at the top of this industry, right? It's not just some little casting director who's starting out. You know, Andy and probably 4 or 5 other casting directors out of, you know, the dozens that are out there literally cast the biggest shows on the telly. And if this guy is saying, listen, you know, you should be reaching out to people like me, like, I want people to really like understand that it's not just okay, it's absolutely the thing you must do. James is here. All right, James. Andy Blaw's joined. All right, Andy Blaw. How you doing, mate? Went to school with Andy Blaw. He's a good lad. Alex said, I would love to be a member, but can't afford it every month. And from what I've seen, there is only a direct debit option. I often dip in. No, there's no direct debit, Alex. It's done on a card. So basically, when you're signing up, you just you sign up via your credit or debit card. There's no lock-in in terms of like you have to take out a membership for 12 months or anything like that. You can literally just join for a month, listen to some stuff. If you can't afford it the next month, just cancel your membership, dip in 2 months after that. I absolutely know what it's like being an actor. You know, when you don't have loads of money. So you know, that's absolutely an option. And as I say, if you get in before November the 1st, you'll get it for just 10 quid a month. Or if you pay for a year at the moment, it's only 90 quid for the year, which means it's £7.50 a month, which is even cheaper. Have a look at what you're spending. People who generally tell me they can't afford a tenner a month are wasting money elsewhere. They will be, you know, unfortunately, that coffee there was £4. £4 for a coffee. Now, I'm not complaining about having no money. But if I was, wouldn't be spending that, you know, on something like that. You know, if you can basically get access to casting directors who you would die to get in front of. Most actors are like, oh my God, I would do anything to get in the room with Andy Pryor or Daniel Edwards or Victor Jenkins, who cast all these big shows. Oh my God, it's my dream. And if you do and you get a part, you're going to get paid hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. That's the reality of this. People who are not prepared to sacrifice a coffee in order to actually listen to these people for an hour and a half tell you how to get in the room with them. It's a real backwards economy. So everyone just have a look at what you are spending money on. I can't make it any cheaper. And in fact, as I say, the price, due to the production quality of the stuff that we're doing and the volume of podcasts I'm putting out now, the price will be going up in November. But it's still ridiculously competitive, considering most people on here are probably going to an acting class once a week and paying 20 quid, 25 quid, 30 quid for a 2-hour class, where in reality, you are getting up and you're performing for 7 minutes, and then you're sitting back down and you're watching the rest of your class perform for an hour and 45 minutes, which I think is bullshit. That's generally how most acting workshops work. We're going to send you a script. You're going to rehearse it at home on your own. You're going to come in. I'm going to give you 10 minutes with your partner to go off in the corridor and rehearse it again. Come in, sit down. I'm going to film it. You're going to perform it for 3 minutes. I'm going to give you a bit of direction. You have another 3 minutes. Clap, 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 clap. Sit down for an hour and 45 minutes while you watch everybody else. I don't think that's a good model of learning how to get further in your acting career anymore. I just don't think it is in a 2019 world. there's definitely merit in doing it for a little bit to get yourself used to performing on camera, watching yourself back. But there comes a point where I'm like, people are spending 120, 150, 200 pound a month doing this again and again and again. And like, actually, you know what? Like, that is not going to get you a job. It just isn't. Performing in front of other actors in an acting class is never going to get you a job. Listening to casting directors for an hour and a half talk about the business of the business and how you then convert what you have, in your show reel and your headshots and, maybe some class footage you might have for a few classes, which is fine, how you can convert that into a job and putting yourself out there and ultimately getting noticed so you get called in for audition. That's priceless, and to ask for a tenner a month, and yet people will throw 200 quid a month at classes where cumulatively they probably over the month get to perform for about 28 minutes. I think it's a bit backwards. So yeah, it's not how I would go about it these days. Listen, I'm going to play you about, I think it's just over 10 minutes of this. Who is as well? Bill emailed me today. Like, give me some feedback on this, right? I normally just put out these interviews as audio. Now, we filmed the interviews because I take snippets of the interviews to create little, trailers. You might have seen me put those out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So you get like a 2-minute trailer of the interview, but then the actual full interview is audio based because I know a lot of people, like we had before, want to listen in the car, want to listen while walking the dog. They don't want to sit and watch a video. But Bill Blackwood, shout out to you, emailed me and said, mate, I actually like sitting down with a brew and really getting stuck in. Would you put the full video up? And I've thought, I've never done that before, but there's nothing really stopping me. Who else would like from here on out to actually not only get the audio, but get the full video as well with these features? If you're a premium member, you get access to the actual video because sometimes it is nice to see the casting director and literally just listen to them and see the way they move and the way they are, and you feel like you get to know them, don't you, a little bit better when you have the video as opposed to just hearing the audio. I love audio because I do other stuff while I'm listening, but maybe there is a cross-section who just like to go, you know what, I'm going to sit down with my feet up and a brew and a piece of toast in the morning, and I'm going to actually get the whole video. Jill says yes. Corinne says, I think the video will be really interesting to watch. Corinne said she would love that. Michelle says, yeah. Okay, so it looks like everyone would like... Okay, right, so so from here on out then, there's another thing premium members are going to get. Now it's getting even better value. It's ridiculous, this, actually, just literally how much you guys get. But yeah, I will upload that then. I can't do it for the ones that we've already done. So there's 200 hours worth on the website right now that's just going to be audio only. But if you want the video, then you will get the video. This is what it'll be like. I'm going to play you now like 12 minutes of this one with Andy and Ree. So this is what you will get access to if you are a premium member from now on then. I can still look at your comments. Please comment as this is playing out. But yeah, have a watch of this. And for those who have already listened, it's just going to hammer home that point again that it is okay to reach out. But yeah, give me your feedback as we're going through it. I'll be back with you guys in I think it's like 9 or 10 minutes. All right, I'll see you in a sec.
Welcome to the podcast. Andy, you've been on the podcast before. Ree, huge thank you for being here. Is this the first podcast you've done?
Yeah, it's very strange.
This is the second guest, Petch on the run. Isabel Steele was on the other day, first podcast she'd ever done. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Cannot thank you enough. We're just going to get, for those listening, we're just going to get as much as we can into I don't know what time you guys have got to go. It's now, we've got like maybe 50 minutes or something.
Yeah.
We can get town in 15 minutes, Patch. We live about 22-ish, something like that. Yeah. We'll sort it out. To give people context, me, Andy and Ree have been at a read-through today for an incredible drama that Russell T Davies has written. This is going to go out after the press release, so we can talk a bit about it. We won't give any plot lines away, but it's called Boys. It's an incredible drama that has really hit me emotionally today. I was saying in the Uber on the way over, I never get emotional reading a script. I mean, unless I'm really on my own or something like that, but in a room of people, I really, at the end, in the final episode there's so many things happen, twists and turns that we won't tell you about and spoil it for you. But it is super emotional. And a lot of that came down to the delivery of the cast today that you two are responsible for. So let's talk a little bit about the way you guys go about attacking such a big project. You've done a lot of Russell stuff years and years. These are shows that, get huge critical acclaim and have massive casts. a lot. How many characters are in this one?
I think it's probably something like 100, 120-ish.
Yeah,
I mean,
something like that.
you know, with Russell's work, it's what's incredible is that scale that everything has. You know, there's a lot of characters, but there's also a lot of heart, and you know, you get to know these people really, really well. You know, the central core characters, and also he's brilliant at writing small characters that have something interesting to do.
Yeah,
rather
there's
than
pretty
it
much no one functional purely like just like this is a line. It's always that person is always a person, and you can always get that even really quickly.
Which makes even the small stuff fun to cast. Whereas on some other shows, it might be just a functional cop number 3 who comes in and arrests someone, and that's it.
Yeah, even the small. That's normally me. If you need a cop number 3, I will come and do that. And there's going to be a lot of people listening to this who, these are actors either new to the industry, drama school grads, a similar audience to who we spoke to last time, Andy, when we did the podcast a couple of years ago. Who's they're absolutely chomping at the bit to be seen for anything. By casting directors like you guys. Let's just talk a little bit about how you work together to, discover new talent, champion new talent, because you guys do, and you're really big. One thing, and I noticed this on your Instagram profile yesterday, is you really pride yourselves on diversity as well. So it's not just finding new talent, but also finding diverse talent. Where do you find that? If someone's listening to this and like, right, I need a plan of how I can get in front of Rhee and Andy, like, let's give them a bit of actionable advice.
Well, it's kind of hard to say because there isn't a single route, is there?
Yeah, there's not. Definitely not. I mean, we do all sorts of things. Obviously, we speak to agents and that, but we also look beyond that, and it's
hunt people down.
And we do keep emails as well that we get in from people. We file all of those, and so sometimes it's time to look through, and
because this is it's a big fear of a lot of people. Is like one of the biggest like topics that I get emailed about on a weekly basis is our actors emailing me, and they're almost, I don't know why they want to ask me, but like almost asking me for permission to get in touch with casting directors like you guys.
I can't speak for other casting directors, but
straight down the barrel of this, Andy.
I can't speak for other casting directors, but as far as we're concerned, we like getting unsolicited emails from people. We can't reply to them because we get so many, but we do read them. We do look at them. We read them,
we keep them. If there's something, you never know. Like sometimes someone comes in and you're like, oh, that's exactly what we're looking for right now. So, and if not, we put them in a file and we can look back at them when we need to. So it is, even though we can't reply because there's so many, but they're still there, and I think, being
people often
absorbed.
People often ask how often they should get in touch, and I always think if you've got something new to tell us, if you're in something, if you're in a play, if you've got in a TV show or a film, or you've done a short film and have got a link to send, or if you've got a new show reel, they're the times to get in touch. There are people who probably overdo it a bit and email too regularly with nothing new to say, and that's probably not such a good idea. But if you've got something fresh to say, then let us know.
What if you find out that you're casting something that one of your mate? So Petch, who's filming today, does self tapes for a lot of people as well. So he'll come across a lot of scripts and go, oh, actually, right, I've just realised Andy and Rhee are casting for this kind of thing. What's the protocol around going, I think like this suits me as well? Is it all right to reach out and actually tell you that you're aware of a project that's going on and go, I'm not like overstepping the mark, but like just wanted to put myself in the mix because I feel like this is my kind of type?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like again, we might get it and we might not be able to reply, it might not be quite right, but fine to do so. Obviously the other way around is important for people to be careful what is confidential. Obviously, sometimes we do send scripts that are confidential, and so you should be
don't go
being
them out on the
careful of
internet.
those.
Don't go sharing
and not
that
telling
with
your
your
mates, because that can sometimes be problematic. Depends what it is and how careful they are about that. But
I've seen a lot more coming through now with your name on as well, blazoned across the script. So if you lose it, they know who's lost it.
I mean, we've been used to that for years on Doctor Who because that's always been, highly confidential. But you do find sometimes you're on a project and they watermark the scripts, and you think, well, why are you watermarking that? It's not something that's going to end up in the papers. You know?
One of the like true life story as well.
Yeah, people are a bit obsessed with the confidentiality, but it's there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if you hear about something, fine, but don't go telling people if you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, well, we just got a little
It's
briefing
not
at the
great.
read-through, didn't we, about what's,
Yeah, exactly.
what you can and can't put out right now on social media. So
I think that's the thing, because social media is so quick and so accessible, and we can all broadcast things immediately in a way that you never used to be able to. And people do love to let people know that they know something that other people don't. And, it's kind of human nature. People can't help it. But actually, spoilers, they're called spoilers for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's nice to watch something and not know what's going to happen.
Well, that's what I love about the read-throughs. I mean, like, I had no clue what was going on today. Like, and
Right,
that's just
yeah,
cold. And, I'm like, I know which characters I'm reading, but I have no clue what they're going to say. I have no clue what the twists are going to be. And it's lovely to experience that as a audience member, and
Well, we do it too. We get, because we will get the scripts as Russell writes them. And so, you read episode 3 and you're sitting there going, hurry up with episode 4.
Next
I want to know
episode.
what happens next. So we're on a kind of elongated version of what the audience will eventually
Like
get.
a month later.
Yeah. So we're kind of tantalized mercilessly because of the process.
Yeah.
I guess, are you kind of like, I guess the thing for you though is seeing how that translates to screen though. Although you know the story, you're still excited to actually watch it and see what they've done with it.
Totally. Yeah. Love it. Because it's totally different. It's like, even today coming to the read through, it's so nice suddenly seeing like, here it is, everyone's alive.
Yeah, well, because
So
how
lovely. It's not just me saying the same lines again. in a shit way.
exactly. Let's let no, you were good. That's the thing, right? You two actually genuinely really good. Honestly, have you got any acting experience in the past?
No. I mean, I think it's because you get
just
so
get used to
it, and you get very used to, I think, to knowing what actors need from you in an audition, which is, being snappy on the cues and giving them enough to have something to play off. But we're not actors, and neither of us want to be. But you can't read things like an automaton, because that's not going to help the person you're reading
Do
with.
you get people in ever, like other actors, to read in opposite other actors in auditions, or just bring them for read-throughs? Do you always read in yourself?
Mostly we read ourselves.
Yeah.
There are sometimes, if you're doing an important recall, we might get an actor in.
Very
but
rarely though, yeah.
because everything just happens in such a sort of crazy, in terms of diary, crazy
course,
way. It's quite difficult to plan these things,
Yeah.
and so it's much easier if we're just
we
kind
just
of
do it.
ready to go and audition for anything as soon as we need to. So it's quite unusual for us to get a reader in, isn't it? Although we do often require your help at read through.
Hey, I'm
always very welcome.
Absolutely, always bloody available. Definitely. Let's look at the actual auditions for this in terms of what it has been. That's we don't need to mention cast members if you don't want to. So, but what these people have done in the room that's made you go, right, okay. There was one guy today who plays the character of Colin we spoke about before. I can't see anybody else playing that role but the guy that you found. But what is it in terms of that these actors are doing when they come in the room that's really shining? Because you said in the last podcast, Andy, that the biggest problem affecting actors at that time, this was a couple of years ago, but I'm pretty sure it won't have changed, was confidence. You said underconfidence. People are coming in underconfident, and you said that people need to understand that it's not just the role when they get it that they're getting paid for. You actually were like, look, you're getting paid to audition as well. If you get the role, this audition is part of what you end up getting paid for.
Yeah.
And
I always say that the audition is part of the job, and you have to see that as a continuum rather than the barrier to get the job.
Oh, leaving on a bit of a cliffhanger there. I know that's a little bit cruel, but obviously I want people to go and listen to the full podcast, and that's on this .tv. If you go over there after this broadcast, it's available right now. We go into quite some depth after that little cliffhanger there on why a lot of actors kind of do lack confidence in the room, but also, like we mentioned before that, before they even get a chance to go in the room, the actors lack confidence in terms of going, I am going to reach out to people like Andy. I'm going to send them this show reel that I've done. I'm going to send them this short film that I've done. I'm going to send them, my new headshots. I'm going to ask for what I want in this industry. And thus, if you're afraid to do that, you're never going to get it. You just never going to get it, because there are a lot of actors as well who are happy to do that. and they are the people who are making their own opportunity. Andy said as well later on in that podcast, he says, listen, the worst thing, or did he say even in that bit there? I can't remember if it was in that bit, but he said, listen, the worst thing an actor can do is sit there and wait for something to happen. And just ask yourself, is that what you've been doing for most of this year? Did you set yourself some goals in January to achieve something in your acting career this year, and actually you've just been sat there waiting for it to happen? Because there's definitely been things in my life I have 100%. I'm not, invincible, and I'm vulnerable to this as well. There's definitely been things that I've not put enough effort into, I've reached out on one occasion. I've either not heard or I've got a no, and I've not reached out to that person months later to see if, I can get a response or if the answer has changed, because circumstances do change in this industry, so you can't be defeated over one no. It's a game of perseverance. Could you send them acting clips too? How do you go back? Yeah, absolutely, Esther. So that's something that Ree says as well. Again, I couldn't, it's all in the full podcast, but Ree said, listen, if you cannot make, your own stuff, there's, as long as you have something, go and listen to the podcast. She says, as long as you have something on your spotlight, something that you can show them, because they make some really valid points as well about going to, say, for instance, going to a theatre show, and the theatre show itself being pretty shit. But actually, even though the theatre show is shit, they can still spot who the good actors are. You've got to give casting directors credit for being able to actually spot talent, even if the production values of what you have sent them is not amazing. It's another thing that holds actors back a lot, where they're like, oh, this isn't perfect, so I'm not going to put it out there. Production values, I think, are quite important. They really are. There's more and more people getting it right. So if you're not, then that's something that, you want to have a look at. But it shouldn't stop you from putting stuff out there, like full stop. Rayanne says, what's the best way to get on the shortlist to help during read-throughs and reader for auditions? It's practically impossible, Rihanna. It's dead man's shoes, in my experience. It's something that I kind of got into by accident about sort of 10 years ago. You need a real good relationship, generally not with the casting directors, it's with the production companies. The production companies, via their production secretary, will arrange for actors they know and trust, and like they watch your show reel and shit, before you can say, I'm going to come and read it, you'll read through, because at read throughs for these big dramas, I don't know if for those who haven't been to one, if you've not done a TV job yet for a big drama, they're massive affairs, okay? Every cast member will be there practically, bar either the ones that haven't been cast yet or some of the big stars. So Stephen Fry couldn't be at this one, just gone. There was a few people who couldn't be at this one, and that's where I was drafted into reading for the characters that they'd be playing. I think Andy read in for Stephen actually, but there was 27 other characters who I was reading in for. But the heads of all the production companies are there. You've got literally all the cast, all the crew. You've got the commissioner of Channel 4. Sometimes these are being streamed. If it's a Netflix one, they're being streamed to America as well. There's a lot riding on them, so they don't just bring in actors they don't know. You've generally got to have a track record with them. You've either got to have worked for that production company a lot, actually in paid roles, so they have put you on the telly and they know you're good, or sometimes word of mouth. Sometimes if I've done a read through for Red Production Company in Manchester, and a production secretary on there is contacted by a production company secretary from another production company, and they're like, look, we need a male reader in the north. Who do you use? I'll sometimes get a phone call for that. So it's not as easy just putting on and going, I'll do it. Once you've got a job with that production company, any production company, and you feel you've done a good job of it, it's at that point where you want to build the rapport with that production company, and get them on side. At that point, that was for me where I started getting called in quite a lot, and now I do it. I do this an awful lot, but it's taken a decade to build up that trust, I think, because there is so much riding on it. But it's definitely worth exploring. If you get parts and stuff, guys, definitely talk to production companies. Make yourself useful just in general to everyone in this industry, not just so you can be at read-throughs, but just everybody. And more and more opportunities will come your way, 100%. That's what everybody must be doing. And that's about giving people value without expecting anything back in return. It's just about giving people value in life. If you just operate, honestly, it's like, I can't tell you how, quickly things will change in your life if you just operate from a place where, how can I leave this person better than I found them? Every single person you come across in your life, Things get real good real fast when you do that, and you don't expect things in return. Vivian says, that's all very well, but so many actors in series are from the same 4 or 5 big agencies. They are, but there's an absolute shed load, Vivian, who were in drama, in Boys, the Russell Davis one there, who aren't from those 4 or 5 big agencies. And they're generally people who, they're good, they're talented. You've got to be good. You've got to be talented, but you've got to look at yourself as a business, and you've got to make sure that people are seeing you and your work. And if you are not working, you must be creating your own work, building a reputation for yourself so that people cannot fail to notice you for the right reasons, whether that's putting on a fringe theatre play and inviting people to it, whether that's shooting a short film, getting involved with other people's short films, writing stuff, doing sketches online, creating a YouTube channel, putting stuff out on Twitter, where nearly every casting director in the industry hangs out, creating a web series. There's so many things you should be doing. My phone's ringing. Hopefully that's not affecting the stream. That's Rob Collier FaceTiming me. He needs to just... I'll ring him back later. We're talking at an event in Newcastle next week. So yeah, Vivian, you can't let that defeat you. You can't go, all right, I'm not with one of the big agents, therefore I'm not working. It's not all about that. There was loads of people who were from small Manchester northern agents, who are solid agents, but they're way out of the big influence of the big London agents like Curtis Brown, United, Troika, Independent, etc. You've just got to kind of look beyond that, without a doubt. Otherwise, you are just looking at this industry happening to you, and you're being a victim. You can't do that in life. You can't go, I'm not with one of the big 5, and you work hard now and look at it in terms of, look, time's going to pass anyway. If it takes you another 5 years or whatever, keep hustling. And eventually, the goal would be obviously to sign with, one of those big agents. You can do it because hundreds of people do it. You definitely can. You've just got to keep hustling. Valerie says, I like it too because it's an hour, not too long, and a good length of time. Yeah, sometimes we talk a lot, Valerie. I know some of the podcasts are an hour and a half. Occasionally, casting directors like Daniel Edwards, who can talk forever. That was the only one back in the day. That was actually his original one. I think was over 2 hours. We had to split it into 2 bits. The one that's up on the site now, because occasionally I'll take old ones down and I'll redo them. Is a bit shorter, I think. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep stuff to an hour or so on there. Esther says, "What if you don't have Spotlight yet? Then Esther. That's got to be your absolutely one of your goals right now. Get those 4 credits to get on Spotlight. And if you're struggling for a credit or 2." I always tell everybody, do Monologue Slam. If you're in the UK, and any part in the UK, because they do this in Manchester, in Newcastle, in Birmingham, in London, all over the UK. Monologue Slam is an event run by Triforce Events. Jimmy Akinbola and Fraser Ayres are the guys who headed it up. It's actually global now. They do it in LA and New York as well. And it's ultimately an event where you go and perform a 1 minute or a 3 minute monologue. If you get, you go and audition and you get chosen to perform your monologue on the night, it counts as a credit for Spotlight. You've got to be taken seriously in this industry. You've got to be on Spotlight. It's just in terms of any agent, that's decent cannot submit you for jobs that are decent if you're not on Spotlight, because generally everything goes out via briefs on Spotlight, unless you are with one of the massive agencies, in which case, you're a very well-known name. They'll come directly for you. But for most of us guys, a bit further down the industry, you have to be going, right, that's got to be your priority, Esther. And anyone whose priority is not Spotlight, who's not on Spotlight needs to get on Spotlight. And you can find jobs using things like Mandy.com, Star Now, Theatre and Education Tours, Monologue Slam. You just got to get 4 credits. It's not that difficult. It's going to take you time, and you're going to have to hustle for it. And it might take you a year, it might take you 18 months. But again, people do it every single day. You can't complain about it being unfair and how, it's, I didn't go to drama school, so I don't automatically qualify for Spotlight. Life's against me. If you want to be an actor, this is just it. You can't just choose to be an actor and go, right, it should all be easy for me. If there was no sort of vetting of people to get on Spotlight, it would water down the entire industry, and no one would use Spotlight, because they couldn't, guarantee the quality of actors on it. So you've just got to, unfortunately, like back in the day, you had to qualify for an equity card before you could work. You just got to get yourself on Spotlight. If you want to get access to the decent castings via decent agents, you've got to be on Spotlight. Inez is here, all right, Inez. Matthew says, never ever wait. Actors have to find work and apply to as many castings as possible. It's about the hustle, Matthew. Definitely is. Definitely is. Do you need an agent to approach a casting director directly, says Jill? No, you don't need one. I mean, it depends. If you see, because sometimes it depends. Casting directors like Andy, and again, they talk about this in the podcast, and every casting director I've interviewed on actsonthis.tv will talk about this as well. If they're looking for something really specific, they sometimes will put those briefs out via their social media, via Twitter, etc. And sometimes I've seen a lot recently for a lot of, underrepresented ethnicities in the industry. So they might be looking for something super specific, and they'll put that out, and then they will just look at everybody. You don't have to then necessarily, have an agent to be on Spotlight at that point. If you are very, very niche, that's okay. But for myself, most, as a 37-year-old, white guy with brown hair, it's not niche. There's an absolute shit ton of me out there. So for that reason, yeah. Generally, you're going to have to be with a decent agent, who reps you and, be on Spotlight and have done all the foundational work to be, to kind of get through the door. But if you're good, if you're just really good, that's the thing, right? Like, talent will just trump anything. If you are incredible and you film a scene, even if it's not filmed professionally, and your acting ability is outstanding, and you send that and put that out there, and people can see that you're actually an incredible actor, no one gives a shit if you've got an agent or not. No one cares if you're on Spotlight. If you're just really good, that's ultimately what's going to matter. So film stuff, Jill, and also you can film stuff to get an agent. That's how I got the agent I was with now. I ended up taking 4 pieces of 3 or 4 like scenes from an acting class that I was at the time. That weren't filmed professionally at all. They looked awful, but I thought my ability was pretty good. It was clear that I could act within these scenes. I sent them off and got meetings with agents through that. You don't need a highly polished show reel initially to get an agent. You are going to have to send some, relatively decent stuff off to casting directors in order for them to see you properly. But agents, yeah, you can definitely send just stuff you've filmed in class and things like that. You just need to keep plugging away, says Vivian. You do, Vivian. Keep plugging away. Honestly, like I say, time's going to pass anyway, guys. You might as well use it, at least going for what you want. Otherwise, what's the alternative? You're just going to regret it later in life. Couldn't resist the siren call of Acts on This. I'm up to my ears in line learning. All right, Inez, she says that your wise words would do me some good. You've got to take a little break now and again, Inez. Come and hang out with us lot. Lucy's here as well. Definitely. Esther says she follows all the casting directors on Twitter. Yeah, if you don't know who to follow on Twitter, casting director wise, go to actsonthis.tv/Twitter. I've created a list of 33 casting directors that you will definitely you'll definitely want to follow on Twitter. I'll be adding to that as well, but that's actsonthis.tv/Twitter if you want to get access to that. Rihanna says she's going to continue to hit up CDs, have relationships. Yeah, it's everything in life is predicated on relationships, Rihanna. Whether it's for your acting career or not, you will get further much faster in your acting career and your life if you build rapport and quality relationships with everyone you meet. And ultimately, that's by just giving them value. So many actors, you know what? And this is a real thing, and I might do a video on this. So many actors are selfish as beep. So selfish. Every piece of content they publish online or they put out on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that is selfish content. We did a podcast on actsonthis.tv with a social media marketing guru called Ollie Reynolds. Great guy, he's an actor and he runs a social media marketing agency as well. And we talk about something called AVR when you're posting something online, and it stands for attention. So it's got to be attention grabbing, whatever you're posting. But it's also got to be valuable, and it's got to be relevant to the people that you want to get that attention from. And so many actors, are just posting stuff that, I don't know, a push might be attention grabbing initially, but there's no value in them and there's no relatability to it. Actors posting their headshots or their show reel online, if they're trying to build an audience. Your audience, if you're on TV, is not an audience of other actors. I see it all the time in the Facebook group for Acts on This. Actors coming in and wasting so many hours of their life posting their acting stuff and them in things in other acting groups. Actors are not your audience. What a waste of time. Actors, I can't give you a job. I'm an actor, can't give you a job. I don't really have time to watch every show reel that gets pasted, in the group. you should be putting your work out in front of people who can either give you work or building an audience of the general public. So if you are in a sci-fi film, seeking out audiences who would like to watch your sci-fi film or your horror film, posting that in horror groups on Facebook, in sci-fi groups on Facebook, building a real engaged audience who are actually going to become fans of yours and your work, not posting it in front of actors. So a lot of people get just really, really mixed up, and they're just looking for validation or a little pat on the back from other actors going, oh, that's great. Well, that's never going to pay your mortgage. Go and listen to that podcast with Ollie, and listen to what he says about building an audience on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and a real audience, not just a group of actors who are all going to be out of work telling each other it's all going to be all right, and that your show reel's great. It's not. You need to get that show reel in front of people who can bring you into audition. People like Andy, people like Ree, who we have on the podcast tonight. So yeah, it's about posting things that's valuable, that's going to either entertain someone, inspire someone, motivate someone, educate someone. Not just, hey, here's another clip of me, like this and retweet it and tell me how great I am. People get really sick of that really, really quickly. So your content has got to, offer people something. And so have your relationships in life. Give more than you take. And you'll never really have to ask for anything in your life. People are going to want to work with you, going to want to hang around with you, going to want you in their things because you're a quality person and a team player. Sometimes it's kicking the teeth when you lose out to one of them. You're talking about the big actors. It's always going to be the same, Vivian. That is though. But there will come a point where you will get there. You've just got to climb the ladder, definitely. Andy and Ree also said that applying direct to them was okay. Yeah, honestly, Corinne, that's they said it was more than okay. They said that they were more than happy to receive actors' show reels, headshots or invites to shows or links to short films, etc., etc. Jill didn't know Monologue Slam was a credit. It is, Jill. It's a great way to get a credit for Spotlight. Yeah, Monologue Slam, because it's great. You only need to perform a 60-second monologue, even if you are brand new to this industry. And you've just graduated from drama school, or you've just decided, you're going to work on your craft, and you've been to classes for 6 months or a year or whatever, and you want to perform publicly for the first time. Monologue Slam's great. Everyone can do a 60-second monologue. Definitely. Matthew says, I post my headshots, sales agent short films to casting directors via WeTransfer and not in acting groups. Yeah, honestly, just don't waste your time, folks, pasting all your links to your stuff in acting groups. Actors are not your audience. It's like, it might make you feel good for 10 minutes when you get 15 actors leaving you a heart emoji on your show reel, but none of them 15 actors, generally speaking, are going to be in a place, 99% of the time anyway, where they can give you a paid job. Nothing wrong with collaborating with other actors. That's really useful. If you are not working, you want to create your own work, obviously work with other people. But don't waste. I see people copying and pasting the same post, sometimes in 15 different groups, and that takes a while. It takes a long time. And not only, as well, this is something from an algorithm perspective on Facebook. If you're posting the same thing in 15 groups, if you're posting it in any more than like 2 or 3 places on Facebook, Facebook is going to pick that up as spam. It's going to think you're trying to spam people. And if you're posting a link to a website that's away from Facebook, they'll penalize you for that as well, because they want people to stay on Facebook. Ultimately, the longer you are on Facebook, the more adverts Facebook can serve you and the more money Facebook makes. So if you are posting a link to something on YouTube and you're posting it 15 times in different groups, not only is it going to be classed as spam, it's also trying to take traffic away from Facebook. And Facebook's algorithm is going to go, I'm going to show that to hardly anybody. So you're wasting all that time and your post is going to be seen by practically no one. So don't bother, get it out and send it in emails to people who can potentially give you a job. I think it's going to be much, much more beneficial for you. Esther says, I always recommended joining young performers on Spotlight, which can only be accessed by having an agent. What do you recommend? I don't know. Do you know what? It's been so long since I've been classed as a young performer. I think it's under 25s, isn't it? On Spotlight. I don't know in terms of if you even need... I don't think you need the 4 credits. The criteria to join as a young performer on Spotlight isn't nearly as harsh as it is to... It's still not harsh as an adult, as a older performer. Although it's not old, is it? 25 plus. I'm not sure. If the criteria is you need an agent, then obviously, if it's easier, you need to go, right, I'm going to have to film some stuff that's going to prove I'm a really good actress, and I'm going to send that to agents, and my goal is going to be to get an agent. And then through the agent, you can then get on Spotlight Young Performers. But then in the meantime, you're going to have to use that to get 4 credits so you qualify for Spotlight like regular, normal, not young performers. You've answered your own question there. If you need an agent to do that, then create content that's going to put you in a good light in order for an agent to go, you know what, yeah, I'll take a chance. And agents will be more forgiving for younger people as well, just because you haven't had a chance to do stuff yet, so they can't penalise you for not having loads of credits if you are fresh out of drama school, or you haven't, you've not had as much opportunity to work in the industry yet. Alex says, I think I've emailed like 3 times now, spoken to him at the App for TV. Who are you talking about, Alex? And then he also came into App for TV the other week to say hi to everyone. Who's that, Alex? Who are you talking about? Let me know who you're referring to. Oh, Archie. Sort me out a meeting with Archie. So Archie Purnell is an agent from Icon Actors Management in Manchester. And well, you need to hustle, Alex. You need to show him. So if you want a meeting with him, with Archie. He's one of the most approachable agents I've ever met. Super, super nice guy. I've done a podcast with him on Acts on This.tv. You even spoke to him, Alex, on the podcast. That's another thing. If you're a member of Acts on This TV, if you're a premium member of Acts on This.tv, I will phone some actors during the recording of these podcasts, and you get to put your questions to my guests. So you get to speak to these casting directors or these agents. If you want a meeting with him, Alex, then you've got to prove that you're worth having a meeting with, mate. It's pretty simple. So in that instance, you want to be going, right, what material have you shown him that proves that you would be an asset to him and the agency if you were part of it? Ultimately, and it is a business, and it might sound brutal, but how are you going to make the agency money? You need to be good. You need to show your dedication, your commitment, and that will be shown through what you've already done within your career. And if you have shown him some material and it's not done the trick, go out and make some more. Ask him what he would need to see from you. Just ask like what you want from life. Everybody, not even in this industry, just everything. Ask for what you want. And if people say no, I always say, what would I have to do to get a yes? What do I have to do to push this over the line? And if they say there's nothing you could do to get me to change my mind right now, then I'm like, okay, cool. I'll move on to the next opportunity. Because some people, and I get this with Acts on This.tv as well, when I sit down and talk to actors, and I show them all of the stuff that they get access to in Acts on This.tv, and I just know that they're kind of like unsellable in terms of like they're not the right people that I need in the community, in terms of they're not that serious about the career. They don't understand the value in 200 hours worth of advice from the biggest agents and actors and writers and directors and cast directors in the industry. And they're dabbling in their career. I'm like, well, actually, you know what? I don't want you as part of this community, because I only want really serious people. Because the vision I have for this community is, ultimately, at some point, to be creating content and short films and web series and stuff with actors within the community. I don't want people who are mucking about in the community, because I'm never going to be able to use them for stuff like that. So some people are just, not compatible. So sometimes if you ask for something from someone in life and you're like, listen, is there anything I could possibly do to change your mind? They're like, absolutely not. Just move on to your next opportunity. Don't waste time on those people. But if something isn't popping for you in your career, or you can't get a meeting with that agent, or you can't get a meeting with the casting director, ask people for like genuinely, go, well, what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that you cannot currently see in me that maybe I could show you if I went out and did something else? And they might just give you something and go, well, actually, you know what? If you could show me this, or if you did me an emotional scene, or I think you'd be good at comedy, could you go and shoot me something comedic? Go and do it. Do what you need to do in order to get a meeting. And don't always just accept no. Don't be disrespectful and like really pester people and be a nuisance. But if somebody does say no, there's no harm in asking that question. What would I need to do to change that to a yes? It's just a 3-letter word. You're not asking to move mountains, generally speaking, in this industry. You're always I always look at it like this as a little game. I'm like, look, all I'm really looking for in this industry is a human being to give me a 3-letter word that's yes. And it takes all the anxiety out of the journey and out of the pursuit, because that's really all it is. You're just looking for one person ultimately to say yes. That's it. And that's not that daunting, is it? Whereas when you start focusing on all of the things, oh God, I've got to do this, and then I've got to do that, and what if they say this, and what if I embarrass myself, and what if I look like an idiot or whatever, it makes it way worse, when really you're just like, you know what, so my game today, who can I get to say yes today? What do I need to do? Who do I need to email? How many people can I email? You know, like you can get a lot. Do you know what? In a focus block of an hour or 2 hours, you can get a lot done. Where you literally sit down and go, right, I'm going to break this down. I'm looking for an agent and I'm based in the North. So, right, who are the 7 agents in the North that I need to contact? And I'm going to do a little bit of research for an hour, find those email addresses. And for another hour, I can write 7 emails in an hour. You know, it's just less than 10 minutes per email. And once you've written the first one, you can generally tweak the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh so that, you know, they're pretty similar to the first. They don't take you as long to write. Look at it as a game. That's all it is. And just remember, I heard something today that really was really sobering as well. That's really, really good advice. You know, I always say, listen, don't worry about it. You're going to die. No one gives a shit. This person just hit this home even further today and took it to the next step and went, listen, not only are you going to die, and do you know what? This is harsh, but this is the truth, right? This is just the freaking truth, right? Sounds really, really harsh. You're going to die, right? And on the whole, and this is really harsh, right? Not many people are going to care. And I don't mean that in a bad way, in terms of like, you know, oh, no one likes us, everyone's unloved and shit like that, right? Of course, your family are going to be devastated. Your friends and your close friends are going to give a shit, right? You're probably going to get maybe, you know, a month or so out of your close friends where, you know, it's impacting them, you know, and your family a lot longer than that. But 99% of people who you cross in this industry, acquaintances, actors who you've worked with, directors, casting directors, they're not going to give a shit. When you look at people like Prince and Michael Jackson, who have some of the biggest impacts in the world within the entertainment industry, they die, they get roughly a week of airplay on the radio where they play Billie Jean 20 times, you know, or Purple Rain 20 times. You know, the oldest ceremony for them the week after that, and then everyone gets on with their life. None of us are that important that anyone's going to give a shit. So don't really be afraid of like making a fool of yourself. No one cares. No one's going to remember. You're going to die and that's it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's a really empowering thing where you're like, actually, you know what? No matter what I do, unless I purposely hurt someone, and that's a completely different thing, no one's going to care. But if you're sending emails and you're afraid of offending someone for asking for a job, who gives a shit? You can't offend them anyway, but if they are offended, c'est la vie. Like, ask for what you want from life. And a lot of the time, it's going to pay the price you ask of it, but you're too afraid to ask for what you want. So I just hope that podcast tonight with Andy and Ree, and if you go and listen to the full thing, actonthis.tv, go and listen to this full podcast. You're going to need a membership to get access to it, right? Join the hundreds of actors who are already on this site and just have a look on Twitter. Look at Act on This's Twitter account for feedback on this podcast, right? And not just this one. There are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of podcasts with the biggest casting directors, agents, actors, writers, and producers in this industry on this website. This is stuff that no drama school is teaching, no acting class will ever give you. You're probably paying 25 quid a week to acting classes that are doing jack all for you, you know, bar stroking your ego, giving you a pat on the back. If you're going to an acting class right now and every performance you get up and do, they go, yeah, that was great, and they give you no constructive criticism, leave. It's an absolute waste of your time. I'm seeing so many acting classes pop up and all they're doing is making money out of actors. It's a cash cow, nothing more. They're giving you no actual real coaching or real training. They're just going, oh yeah, great performance again. Yeah, it wasn't really, really good. You're feeling good. You're coming away from there feeling you're actually doing something for your acting career, but you're not doing anything in terms of actually giving yourself an opportunity for work unless you are hustling behind the scenes. You understand the business of the business and you're actually reaching out to people who can give you work, which is what this site that I've created for the last 8 years is all about. It's the business of the business and it's turning your talent into paid work so you can leave your shit day job that you hate and ultimately earn a full-time living from acting. That's what we all want. It took me 11 years of hustle to do that. And it's great when that is the case and that's all you have to do. But it's bloody hard. It's really hard going. When I was in that shop earning £5.75 an hour, hating my life, I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. But you can do it. Honest to God, you can do it. But you just need to understand the business of this business that I wasn't taught at drama school. I went to apparently one of the best drama schools in the country. We had 3 years of training and didn't get a single bit of business acumen, not a single bit of who casts what in the industry, which agents are decent and which aren't, who you should be applying to, how you apply, what you should be doing to move your career forward. Didn't get any of that. It's completely like just left out. We were taught how to do some classical theatre. We did Chekhov and Shakespeare and some other stuff that I'd never really wanted to do again. for 3 years. I got a week of TV training in the entire 3 years I was at drama school, and just came out of it a robot going, well, that was kind of a bit of a waste of 15 grand. And now degrees cost somewhere, don't they cost somewhere in the region of like 45, 50 grand? Like, that's just absolutely insane how expensive degrees are. Let's have a look. What other comments we've got here? Leroy's here, all right, mate. Mike's now here as well. Sandra says, Ross, you cracked me up. Good reasoning though. Don't worry, because you're gonna die. I mean it as a real thing though. Like, honestly, like, this is real. You know, an incredible member of the Acts on This community, Eric James Dean, one of my best mates, died like nearly 2 months ago. Absolutely devastating. And I just saw that guy, you know, care a little bit too much a lot of the time about what people in this industry thought of him, and I think it held him back, if I'm completely honest. Not loads. He was out and about. I respected him so much because he was 68 and he was still out and about, really getting involved with stuff. That's what I loved about Eric so much. He just got involved with projects and put himself out there in terms of in person and going to things. I think he cared a little bit too much about what people thought of him when he was getting in touch with casting directors and stuff, and it was just like, you know, it's going to happen to us all. Eric now no longer has the opportunity that we have, which is ultimately why everyone should be so grateful just to be in the position they're in right now, as in breathing. If you woke up this morning above ground with air in your nostrils, right, today is a great day. Because 151,000 people lost that opportunity this morning. Well, like, they were here yesterday and they weren't today. That's the stat across this world. And one day we're all going to be joining that stat. It will be us one day. So, like, don't be afraid of just asking for what you want. And you've had permission now off Andy and Ree, two people who work in casting at the top of this industry, who are like, we love receiving unsolicited emails from actors. If you've got something relevant to say, don't spam them and be a nuisance. But if you've got something relevant to say and you've got something to show them, do reach out. Carl says, love your honesty, Ross. It's refreshing in this business. I just hate bullshit, Carl. Honest to God. Like, I'm on a bit of a mission, I think, to just cut through all the bullshit that's in this industry. And there's a lot, like, you know, in terms of what I try and do is just try and give as much value as I can. I try and bring, you know, the people at the top of this industry, who are the people who could put you in the biggest dramas in, you know, on the planet, ultimately. You know, the biggest dramas in the UK, which inevitably end up being the biggest dramas on the planet. Things like Years and Years, a drama that I was in a couple of months ago that hopefully everybody saw. Russell T. Davis wrote it. Russell T. Drama. That's a good name, isn't it? That ended up being sold to HBO, and was loads of people in the States saw that. I got messages from people going, oh, mate, just seeing you on HBO and stuff. They become the biggest dramas in the world, some of these things. And if I can bring you guys access to these people for, at the moment, what's £2.50 a week, I kind of get off on the fact that you're not giving someone else 30 quid to perform for 7 minutes in front of them. If you can get better information online from the comfort of your own home, or whilst you're doing your day job, or whilst you're walking the dog. Like I said, as opposed to paying somebody 30 quid to go to an acting class where there's 20 people in the room, and you get up for 3 minutes, well, for 7 minutes, don't you? You go and rehearse your scene for 10 minutes in the corridor. You know, generally try to avoid other people, so you can't really rehearse properly because there's, you know, another 5 groups of people all around you doing their bit. You walk in, you do your scene once, you get some direction, you know, you do it again, so there's a total cumulative of 6 minutes that you perform for, and then you spend the other hour and 45 minutes watching everybody else perform. And there's merit in doing that twice, because you can learn from seeing other people perform and their mistakes and their triumphs. But doing that for 3 years is just pointless in my eyes. You know, there comes a point where you're like, look, I can't learn anymore unless I'm on set working. And sitting in an acting class being congratulated every week that you're great when you're not actually being given any constructive, real criticism or feedback in a positive way, it's not conducive for actually getting any better. So I just want to cut through the bullshit and save people, you know, the hassle. Like I say, if you're not a member as well, this is something just to discuss now for just the last couple of minutes as well. Actonthis.tv. I've run it for 8 years, and the price has generally always been 10 quid a month for donkey's years. I think it started off actually like way back in 2011 for the first couple of years at a £5, but ultimately I've never put the price up at all. I am having to, because I'm now creating, used to get like one podcast a month, ultimately, that I would put on the site. I'm creating nearly one every week now. And they're getting longer and better quality, and there's more kit involved, and we're now filming them. So you will now get the video and the audio moving forward. they're costing me a lot more money to produce. I'm dead transparent, right? So most podcasts on Acts on This can cost up to, and this is no bullshit, particularly if I'm recording them in London. The Dark Money podcast I did recently, the roundtable with Victor Jenkins, Jill Halfpenny, and Lewis Arnold. That was the BBC One drama called Dark Money. Jill starred in it, Victor cast it, and Lewis directed it. Cost me about 750 quid, right? So when you're doing 4 of them a month, it soon adds up. When you're also putting in 10 hours a day running the thing, maintaining it, paying money for all the software, it's really expensive. So I am, in order to give you guys more value, more content, I'm going to have to put the price up in November. Now, this does not affect anyone who is already a member, right? If you're already a member and you're paying 10 quid a month or 90 quid a year, that is all you will pay, but you must keep your subscription active. You can't let it lapse. If your credit card's going to run out, you will get an automated email saying, hey, Dave, your credit card's going to run out in 7 days. Please update it. There should be no reason why, if you want to stay a member, you can't, keep your membership up. You'll only ever pay a tenner a month there. From the 1st of November, it's going to be a £5 a week. It's going to be 20 quid a month, which is still less, I think, than practically every acting class that I see out there. Nearly every single workshop, and I don't think workshops work. That's the ironic thing about the name. A lot of workshops don't ever lead to work. They're generally always a minimum of 25, 30, 35 quid. So it's still super cheap. And you're going to get access to literally 4 of the industry's elite. Every single month, 3 or 4 podcasts with the industry's elites, who, if you did get in front of and you implemented the advice that they share in the podcast and you go on to get a job, you will earn hundreds, if not thousands of pounds. That's the reality of this business. So I still think 20 quid a month, which is a £5 a week, which is literally one of these a week. That is so expensive, and it's because I have coconut milk. Absolute joke, but I love it. Yeah, it's 20 quid a month from the 1st of November. But if you're not yet a member and you want to get in ultimately at half price, so you only pay a tenner a month forever, join now. Join before the 1st of November. Actonthis.tv, get your membership, lock it in, and you'll be grandfathered in there. That's what they call it in the online space. You are grandfathered in, as in that is your membership price. If you keep your membership up, that's all you'll ever pay. It will never get more expensive than that for you. So it's a way of trying the site out as well. Yeah, 90 quid a year or a tenner a month. 90 quid a year works out at £7.50 a month. So it's not even 2 of those a month, and you still get access to absolutely everything. And I'm also going to start doing as well, I think after, probably maybe at the start of next year, we're going to start doing a live coaching call with an industry guest once a month, where you all get to come on, you all get to jump on with your video camera and your microphone from home, and we run a webinar where you get to jump on and actually ask your questions face to face online with the industry guest. I want to start doing that as well, and just giving people, some extra value there as well. It's all about actionable steps so that you guys can actually put this shit into action. It's all well and good getting motivated and getting some theory on what you should do, but actually there's a lot of people who get off the call and then, are like, I don't know how to put that into my career. Well, we're going to sort of start dealing with that as well. And we give you really tailored advice. So I hope this has been useful. Thank you so much for joining me. There's been a lot of people on this broadcast tonight. I massively appreciate it. Jerry says, think I'm convinced. Get involved. Honest to God. Just ask anybody. Like, I honestly think we have got the most legitimate resource in the acting industry and actonthis.tv as well. And let me just say as well, right, and I don't publicise this because I'm not one for doing this as a showy off, oh, look how great we are. Every guest who comes on, unless they're promoting something, okay, so unless they're selling something effectively, in terms of, sometimes I get people on who have great advice on something, but they also run a service to do with that as well. If they're promoting something, they don't qualify for this. But people like Andy and Ree, everyone who comes on gets a charity donation that's obviously generated from the subscriptions that you guys are paying to give to a charity of their choice, right? And I don't shout about this or put it on Twitter because I'm not about that, right? I'd rather do this in silence behind the scenes. So you won't hear me talk about this a lot. But your subscriptions do go to some really good causes. We donated some money this morning to the Terence Higgins HIV Trust on behalf of Andy and Ree, because the drama that Russell's written, Boys, that they've just cast, is all about AIDS and HIV. So we donated that. We've helped some great charities out this year, and little ones as well, like little children's homes and things that really are impacted by a couple of £100. Not, the big ones that yeah, it's great to support, but they've got like multi-million-pound TV budgets to make these really tearjerker kind of TV adverts. If you give them a couple £100, it's probably just gobbled up in admin. Whereas if you give a couple £100 to a local children's home, they're going to take the kids out to Alton Towers, or they're going to do something with them. So every penny is going to be spent on the cause. So your money is going to that as well, guys. Right? It's not. I'm not a fat cat corporation where it's it's going to me or anything like that. I just want to build this into the most legit, bullshit-free communities that's out there, because there is a load of shit in our industry that I just think is like just not valuable. But it's maybe one for another time. Listen, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. If I can do anything for you, reach out at Act on This TV, at Ross A. Grant. Drop me an email, ross at Act on This TV. At Act on This.tv. It does come to me. A lot of people email me as well, go, hi team. There is no team, right? It is me, right? Not paraded as some company. It's me, right? There's me and there's Petch, the cameraman who films the stuff for us. There's no one else. So if you do email help@actonthis.tv or ross@actonthis.tv, it is me. There is no team. I can't afford a team, which is why the price is going to have to go up. So yeah, help me build this, into something great. It really, really would mean the world to me. Thank you, Sandra. She says you're a fine human being, not just a great resource for actors. Thank you. Appreciate that. Honestly, it means the world that you lot tune in. It's Monday night. You could be doing anything right now. It's 10:15. You could be watching Netflix and chilling or whatever people do these days. But yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you chose to spend this time. And those listening on the audio experience, thank you so much for listening to the replay. If you can't make these broadcasts, guys, just search for Act on This TV, all one word, on Spotify or iTunes, and you will find the Act on This TV audio experience, which is ultimately the audio from all of these live broadcasts. Tonight, by the way, little round of applause, is episode 330. This is the 300th and 30th episode that we have done a live broadcast on a Monday night. That's some going, in it. What is that, considering you get 50 of these a year? We've got like, what does that mean? So that's like 6 years. It's like 6 years of live broadcasts. It's mental, that, isn't it? And I started off with literally one viewer. And tonight at times there's been nearly 100 people watching this at any one time. There's probably been 500 people gone through this broadcast tonight, jumping on for a little bit and leaving. So thank you to everybody. It means the world. I'm going to finish by playing you again, just a little trailer a little extended trailer. It's only 2 minutes of what is in Andy and Ree's podcast. Get over to actonthis.tv, get your membership. Sign up now while it's going to be just £10 a month. That's all you'll ever pay. Get into your members area, click on this here, listen to Andy and Ree's podcast. And from now on, yeah, this is just audio, right? But from now on, when I record the podcast, I do film them anyway, but we just film them for promo to put out on social media. I'm going to film the full chat. And you're going to get not just the audio from now on. I'm going to give you more value, guys. You're going to get the full episode as a video as well, for those who do just want to sit down and watch it on the telly. So you can have that as well moving forward. I'll make sure that happens. I have filmed a little bit of it that you're going to see now. This is a little trailer, but yeah, go watch it at actonthis.tv. And thank you so much for being here. If I can do anything for you, let me know. But until next time, we'll be back next Monday. I'll see you there. All right. Bye for now.
And I do, I get how it's hard for people, and for actors, it's quite difficult to not be in control of your life.
Yeah.
Really, you're at the mercy of whatever works around, a degree of timing, serendipity, right place, right time.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. But I kind of think if you're the worst thing you can do, I think, is sit around and wait for stuff to happen to you. I think you've got to try and make your own work. If you're not getting the auditions, get together with friends and make a short film. It's kind of easy to film stuff now and make it of quite good quality without expensive equipment.
Distributing it, so easy and free online,
for sure. But also, just in terms of having material to show, sometimes you can't do that or whatever. But like, if you've got something on your spotlight that we can watch, even if it's just a self-tape that you're allowed to put on, make sure it's something you're allowed to put on. that is helpful.
Exactly. Better to see something than nothing.
Well, I think a lot of people think that, you know, like casting directors of your level, casting, you know, because ultimately, I mean, let's just be honest, it's the biggest stuff in TV. You know, these are the biggest shows on TV in the UK. They never feel like that their show reel is good enough, and it really paralyzes them, because they end up going, well, you know, I've kind of got this and it's all right, but because it's not perfect, I'm just not going to put it out at all.
Yeah, no, I would say that is the wrong thing to do, honestly. Like, there's not a lot of things I'd say is right or wrong, but like, if you've got something, just it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a professional piece.
Let's just talk a little bit about how you work together to, you know, discover new talent, champion new talent, because you guys do, and you're really big. One thing, and I noticed this on your Instagram profile yesterday, is you really pride yourselves on diversity as well. So it's not just finding new talent, but also finding diverse talent.
Yeah.
Where do you find that? If someone's listening to this and like, right, I need a plan of how I can get in front of Ree and Andy, like, let's give them a bit of actionable advice.
Oh, hi, Ross.
You are
fine, thank you.
You are the lucky winner of the phone call to Andy Pryor and Ree McDade-Wren, casting director extraordinaires.